everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Tres Jolie channel, whichever one you're watching this on. I am getting ready to work on my mood board inspired project. And I'm pretty sure the majority of this project will consist of the scrapbooking kit. Which has these Tres Jolie. Trying to avoid the glare there. It's actually really gloomy out, so I'm not getting like a lot of light through the windows, so it's not really balancing out my overhead light. I'll just take it out of the plastic. There's this Tres Jolie chipboard here, and this piece. I don't know if the chipboard will make it to this project or not. I think it's just going to depend on how it gets put together and how it's looking. These 49 and Market PVC die cuts, I really like these. They're going to be super sturdy for this because they are PVC. And then the ephemera pack, 49 and Market, and the In the Leaves paper pack. So all three of these are from the 49 and Market In the Leaves collection. And then there was these flower packs, 2 Primas and another 49 and Market item. And I don't know if this project will get flowers on it because they're so dimensional. It's still going to be kind of how things come along as I'm going. I don't think I'll be using anything from the other kits. There's a possibility that I might use some of these pastes. Maybe the burnt sienna and that lavender from that 3-pack, this 3-pack that was in the mixed media kit. I don't think anything else from the mixed media kit will make it. I do have a few pieces left from my cards, tags, and more projects from this, but I don't know if those will make it on or not. I might be able to use some of that up. And this isn't really going to be like a step-by-step video. It's I'm going to kind of try to break it up into sections. Because I think if I tried to do it would be a very long, very multi-part project. So I will link to the YouTube channel that I had come across and I was watching. When I started thinking about this, I liked the process that was being used to put the journals together. Let me see if I can. I'll bring it up on my phone real quick. See if I can't. It was let me get her channel pulled up. There, Kathleen Sundby. It will come into focus. There we go. I was looking at her channel and she had some videos from a month ago. I found her most recent video YouTube had recommended to me, and so then I just started scrolling back, and she has a very multi section thing, creating Julia. You know, she goes through the papers and the base pages, and in each step there you know, she really has it broke down really good, her process. So as you can see, oops, let me see there. As you can see, I kind of left off at page 2, but I do plan on finishing watching the rest of these. Like I said, I absolutely just loved her process on it, and it really got me thinking. So I will make my pages, or start making my pages. I have, let me get this over here. I have old books, and this has that like thinner paper. I kind of think of it as it's kind of like the paper that is in Bibles very often. Not quite that thin, but kind of like that. And this is actually from 1935. I already took the cover off. I have a lot of books that I've already taken covers off. Then I have this book here from 1945. Some other ones that are kind of different sizes, but they're all nice and aged. I really like this one. It's an old geometry book. Pretty sure it was a geometry book. I would just like to have to put this there. Math is a lousy subject, a fellow sucker. So that should age this book pretty well there with the word lousy. Yeah, it was a geometry book from 1913. So some old books that I'll be using pages from. And then I have, this is piano paper from old pianos. You know, the old automatic pianos? That will go on there. It has those nice little punches. I have some tea-dyed papers that I have made. I have some old bits of lace that will make it. Maybe some new bits of lace. I was actually pulling things out. I have like this old handkerchief. This is actually a towel. I don't know whether that'll make it. Some orange burlap. This old doily here is about to meet its end. It'll be getting deconstructed, I think. So just a bunch of old random items that go with that fall theme, and it's going to go with the vintage theme. And I'm just going to set everything off and kind of get my base page, or the bases of my pages prepared. That makes sense. And then when I kind of have everything sized and set up how I'm pretty sure it's going to go together, then I will kind of come back, give some details on that, and then just keep working in sections so that I don't have a multi section video, so that hopefully I can get all of this into one video. Alright, I am ready to kind of get things going along. I'm going to talk about, I made 2 journals. They're slightly different sizes. So I'm going to kind of go through. They're kind of laid out the same. This journal cover is, I took let's see what size. They're 5 by 6.5 note cards. And just folded it in half for the cover, and have some of the pattern paper from the pack on here. This side is 2 of the envelopes together. I have them like this. So when it's all together, then they'll kind of go like this for the spine, around like so. But that's how that cover was made. If you watch the original maker that I was inspired by, she also uses this envelope method. Hers are different size, but same method. And then I just have a couple bits of ephemera, just paper clipped onto place. On the inside of both covers, I just have some masking paper. I love the green of this masking paper. I think I got this full roll on Amazon for, I don't even know if it cost $10. It wasn't very much. And I just have that wrapped around, and that'll get glued on. And then I have just torn pages from the paper pack and some bits of doily, a little bit of ephemera, just kind of thinking as I was going along. These next pages, this is some, I think it was wrapped around some kind of product that I had purchased. But it's heavy duty, it's glossy, and I just tore it and put it in. This one has a little bit of an extra fold. This is part of the paper pack, and if you see this, which is also here, these are actually from the packaging, from the die cut pieces, the ephemera pack, and the PVC leaves. I loved these stripes, so I kind of took apart those packages, and anything I have left I'm just gonna have to stick in a Ziploc bag or something. Some bits from the paper pack, some music sheet folded up. It'll be a pocket page. They're not cut down to size, like this one will get trimmed a bit. These are from the ephemera pack. I will be backing them where the hole is with something, don't know yet. These 2 pages, they were on a book, like the front and the back decorative pages. The colors went really well, so I put one in each of these. Oh, this is actually the cover sheet from the paper pack, so I'll figure out how to cover something up there, but I liked being able to use just the little squares here. And that's just a piece of paper, some book pages, ephemera from the paper pack, or from the postcards from the ephemera pack. That's what I was trying to say. This is a piece of some heavy craft stock, and I just embossed it. Let me get that embossing folder. Alright, I have this embossing folder. I don't know if it has a name. It came in the package, the box, when I got my Big Shot Plus, and that's been a couple years. So, but it was just this embossing folder, so it's just a bunch of dots. And this is actually a piece of hanging envelope, but I like the green of these, and it's very thick and sturdy, and it is embossed. Ephemera pack, cardstock. These, it's kind of like a paper bag material, but it was just packing paper that had been in there. I like it. I keep it when I get packages because it's kind of sturdy. It gives a different texture, kind of noisy. Paper, more of that cover sheet with just those squares. Some book pages. These ones are very fragile. That's why they're folded up in half, so they can get some stability when everything's together. Cardstock from the pack. More book pages. These are both that heavy craft stock embossed. This is the Tim Holtz wood grain one, you can see there, and this was a Tim Holtz frame embossing folder. Let me see. Alright, I had used a few. So this embossing folder was here, and this embossing folder over here. That one, I don't remember the name of it. I don't have the package, but this one came in this package. It was a Texture Fades package. Book cover set. So that's in the book cover set. Okay. An envelope. This is some tea dyed paper that I had made, and I just folded it into an envelope. Just more cardstock, and now to the center, and this is deli paper. Like, I bought a pack of deli paper already cut in sheets, so it's thinner, but I like the sound it makes. So this is the centers of the books, and this side is just going to be a sheet, and this I kind of have folded over twice because it's so thin to make a pocket like that. So it'll be like that, and then I just have a card in there, or a piece of the cardstock from the pack, and we'll keep going, just kind of flip through, see if there's anything I missed. Another one of those envelopes there. This is from a book, but it was just a blank page, but it has that nice coloring on it already from old paper. The other half of my pocket there, and I think that covers everything that I have put in so far. I haven't worked out exactly what I'm going to use to tie it with. I'm going to go kind of think about that, and then start getting my pages, any stitching I want to put on, so that everything will be put together and glued. Just start working my pages towards being able to do the final binding. Alright, before I do that, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk about what I kind of have around. I have those PVC pieces that came in the scrapbooking kit. I have a couple pieces, maybe only one postcard or so, from the ephemera pack that are big. Then I have a lot of the little pieces from the ephemera pack. I have all of these are from the paper pack, and they were those punch out sheets, and I have those already all pulled out and ready to go. And I'm kind of keeping this. I do actually like if you look at this smaller bit, this was in the ephemera pack, and I like the negative cuts, and I like this side of them where it has that tan color. So I'm thinking I might actually fit in some of these negatives on some of the pages. Let's go here. Oop. I have some leaves. These are just decorative leaves that I think I got them at a 99-cent store a few years back. I kept these are the ends, the edges of the paper, but one side of them, some of them have words, decorations. I'm keeping those around in case I feel like putting those on. I have some doilies, paper doilies up here from my stash. Some eyelet trim. This is like 99-cent store spider web for Halloween decorations. I have this fabric, which it had came in a pack, and I don't remember what it was. It's just called something like mixed media fabric or something like that. Some cheesecloth there so that those can be torn and put in. I have various pieces that I've gotten from other people in swaps. I have to show you this lace that I'm actually thinking of using on my spine. Even though it's kind of, at first glance, might be more Christmassy, but I think if it's scrunched up, then the colors would just work well. I'm gonna see. Some table runners, I think this was, that have been cut up for the fabric, but I have the crocheted ends left. More bits from swaps. This used to be a doily. It's already been used in varying ways, so I just rip off pieces now. I have this little bit of gold lace that had came in the July 2018 scrapbooking kit. This is the last of it that I have. Another package that has that lace in it. I kept the little bits that I had tore off to add on from that hanging folder. I have my piano music. I have some sheet music, the bits of that brown paper wrap, a few book pages, and some other bits and scraps here. And I'm just kind of keeping those around so that I can pick and choose from them as I am putting everything together. So that's what I will be kind of going through and using on the pages and the cover and what have you. And I'm still thinking that I will get at least some of this, the burnt sienna, yeah, rust effect paste, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I also have, and you can't really see it under here very well, but I have some manila folder that I embossed back here to tear up just for the texture. And I used the wood grain again, the frames here, and I have a couple, and I used this basket weavy one. What's it called? Checkerboard. This one I have wrote on the back. Checkerboard. And then I have these two smaller ones. That's this ticket and a little bingo card. And that had came in the playing games set. Right there. So that's what I'm working with. I'm putting in. I'm gonna see what I can come up with, and then like before I'll come back and kind of catch up with what I've been doing. Alright, I have my journals ready to be put together, mostly ready. They're more or less identical, just different papers, but the layout is going to be the same. And I have some sari silk that I'm going to use it on the closures, and just some bits and pieces also to be added to it. So when it's together, it'll be kind of like that over the spine. And the same on this one. These are slightly different sizes. You can see this one is a little bit smaller than this one, but the thickness and the same amount of pages are in each one. So I'm going to kind of just go over where I'm at right now with my covers. And on each one, I kind of took some of that orange burlap and stitched some leaves on. So it's kind of like a little leaf doily in there. Rustic leaf doily in there. Then I have smaller pages and torn pages. This right here is from, because I can't remember if I already said it, from my the packaging that the ephemera came in, and those PVC pieces like this. I think I already said it, so that might be repeating myself. All of my pages have some kind of fabric at the hinge just to strengthen those hinges up. I have pockets out of some vintage music paper. I have some bits sewn on already. As I go back through, I may add more. I'm going to try to show what I have left of the ephemera. This tray is what I have left. There's the ephemera, PVC pieces, and some scrapbooking paper left. So I'm still going to probably add a few more bits and pieces in. Like I added some fabric on this hinge also. That just folds out. I have some, I don't know where this paper doily came from. I've had it for quite a few years now, so I cannot remember. Another fold out there. Some longer, skinnier pages. Another little pocket page there. This is just a hanging folder that's embossed, and right here is a piece of that chipboard from the scrapbooking kit, and I just put some of that burnt sienna texture paste from the mixed media kit on there, and then glued it down. Different pages, different bits I've glued on already. Another pocket page. I have a lot of different sari silks in here. Once again, this is one of the chipboard pieces from the Cards, Tags, and More kit, and I added that texture paste to it and then glued it down. I have some areas like this with quite a few places to write. Let's see. I'm almost caught up. This is just sewn in. Another paper doily, which I have no idea where that one came from. And I'm almost to the center here. And these pages are actually made out of, this is deli paper. So it's really kind of thin. And this is bookbinding cloth. And I'm gonna kind of wrapped that deli sheet around that bookbinding cloth and glued it down. I used some bookbinding glue and folded it over, left just this little skirting out here, sewed, I think that's right, bits and pieces on another fabric hinge, and this is just a little tag pocket, and I'll probably add some bits and pieces to that still. And I have one built the same way, just to decorate it a little different for that book. And then this is just some ledger paper and some more of those printables from, I got some printouts from Pink Monarch Prints in a swap, and I thought that the colors on them worked well in here, so there's a few of them in here. And then I have some aged tape. You can see it really good right here, and that is just using some gift wrap tape. Some of it, this one is made on a more matte tape, and this one was a glossy tape, and it's just alcohol inks on there and then left to dry. And that is my way into the center of my books. The mushroom from that scrapbooking, or from the Cards, Tags, and More kit. Oop, that one's supposed to be like that. Some old newspaper that I had gotten a swap. Glassine bags that I reinforced. In here, just a big paper doily. I liked to reinforce the edges of the sheets. This is a pull out for here. I'll probably come back, reinforce this paper, flips, and this side is the pocket here. So now this, you can see I did reinforce this already with some of that grain masking paper. So now with all of this, all of my pages more or less finished, just maybe needing a few bits. I have my smaller pieces of trims that are left on over here. I have my pieces of the scrapbooking kit back there. I just thought I'd kind of stop and come in and talk about some of the materials that I have in here. I have tried to list everything I've used on the blog. I'm hoping I don't miss anything. This, I'll use this one. This right here, this like red, let me see if I can kind of, that red plastic is actually plastic. There, I've been saving it forever. It was actually from a baby potato bag, and I just rinsed it out and saved it because it has a nice texture to it, and stitched that on, and it's on top of this really thin shiny material, which I know I have more of it around here, but I can't find it. It's really see-through, so I have trouble finding it when it gets mixed up. I'll pull that up again. You can see kind of that really transparent material underneath, and it goes, and I really stitched it down good right there. I have that orange burlap for that hinge on here. And this little tree is just this little hand embosser that I've had for a couple decades. Just this little thing here, and that little tree plate in there. Okay, so now that I have kind of gone over all of that, I am going to go and work on my closures. It's centering them. I have these little bits which will also be attached to it. I am going to bind my books. I will add in, probably be adding in more embellishment edges and what have you. Oh, near the front of both books I have these clustered edges, and these are hand stitched on, well, they're hand stitched together. They're hand stitched together and have just some hand French knots on there. And I used this embroidery floss for my French knots, and this, I don't know, it is not regular sewing machine thread. It's definitely not for my sewing machine. It is quite thick. It will not fit through my sewing machine, but I used that for the hand stitching. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Once I have sewn these together, I will come back and kind of do another little flip through, walk through, talking about the finished product. My 2 autumn journals are complete. They are thick, lots of surfaces to write on in here. They each have lawn closures and some extra little clusters there on the closure around the center. Just some layered up fabric that kind of went with the colors. I had some, I'm going to hold it up here, hopefully it'll focus. This is like 4mm silk ribbon, and I just made some little silk ribbon flowers and knots on there, like so, in that dusty bluish color. And they are both put together more or less the same. You can see them on here. I'm only going to really go through one. They are basically the same pages in there. Even they might be laid out differently, but they're basically the same. So I'm just going to go through this one. You can see I have it bound. I used some kind of cream colored bookbinding string, thread, twine. It's those wax covered one. If I go to the center here, you can see, and I just did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch and did my tie off in the center. I think it's called a pamphlet stitch. I'm not really sure the name, but I think that's what it's called. You can see here, surfaces to write on, lots of little bits and pieces sticking out. I did go back and add on just a few things as I was putting the pages in. I have some tags made, and I just added some fabric to the tops of them. Flip outs. Another tag in this pocket with some more fabric on top. This is actually a really narrow pocket. You could probably just hang a clip on it or something. Let's see here. More writing there. Tag. The tag for this pocket, just put some lace on top of that so it will hang out the top of the book. This is actually a pocket right here. I just don't have a tag in it. And it's doubled up. It is a glassine bag with old newsprint on it, so it's kind of thicker, and I made sure to really layer that glue on. This is another pocket right there. Little pull out, a pocket with a tag here. This is another pocket right here on this side of it. Pocket here. Flip out. Pocket with the tag right here. And there you have it. So maybe I will, that didn't take very long, maybe I will go through the other one real quick just to show where its pockets are. That sari silk is nice and strong, can hold that closed good. Oh, I will go over real quick. This is how I did the binding. I made templates based on the length of the cover, and then evenly centered, and then evenly spaced from the center. And this one was for this cover. And then I would center each page, or center on each page, and do one page at a time. I have tried in previous junk journals to try to punch through multiple pages. It does not always work out. Okay, so I'm going to go through this book real quick. This is the one that's just a little bit larger. You can see, I'll hold this up now. I really liked this sari silk with the little gems on it, and I finished it off on doing the closures. This one had it too. Right there's another little gem. So here's this one, and I did the same thing, just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So now I'm going to go through and just kind of show where the pockets are in this booklet. There's one here. I already have a tag sticking in. One here, and this could be a little one right here if you really wanted to, or just use it to hold some clips. This tag added a bunch of lace on the top of that. really bunched it up here. Another one of those glassine bags as a pocket, reinforced with lots of glue and a sheet of paper. This, just a little tuck in right here, and a smaller pocket on this side. A pocket right here with a tag in it. And some of the tags are made from the rest of the 49 market paper I had, and some of them are those pink monarch. I used the printouts and I threw the ends away. There's one. They have the pink monarch prints that I had received in a swap. Make up some of the other tags, and they're just backed with some ledger paper. And then pocket there. And actually this one I made kind of a fabric pocket. I did not sew it off at the top, so things could be tucked into here. And there you have it, a couple of autumn journals using this month's scrapbooking kit and quite a bit of, if you're a junk journal maker, I guess it would be more like junk journal stash of tea-dyed papers and old book pages. But the base is from the scrapbooking kit, and this little baggie right here is actually all I have left from the scrapbooking kit from doing these two journals. So they could actually go pretty good if I wanted to make more tags on just some regular index cards, and I could use it to decorate those up. I hope that you enjoyed this project and it gave you some ideas of what you can do with the items in this month's scrapbooking kit, or in my case the entire scrapbooking kit. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date when more project videos get posted or the reveal video on the 1st of the month. And I'm going to tell you right now, December's kits are just awesome, so you're going to really want to be around for that. Thank you, and I will see you again next week.